welcome to AITV. I am Nyamkime Dobi. Today, viewers, we are here in the residence of Honorable Dave Awunah, Padopads, and with time you'll get to know why we are in his residence. Thanks for coming tuned. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So, sir, can you tell us more about you?
Well, I'm just a normal person, adult, born here in Makurdi. I have, of course, my parents here, to whom you have mentioned, and I did my education in Lagos and Makurdi, you know, and partly in Zaria. And I also have biases for human management, and that was what took me to the field of politics. I also have been a scout. I also, of course, head the organization here in Nigeria. And then today I am actively involved in the political arrangements in the country. We are geared towards aspiring to represent our zone at the Senate. Zone B.
Okay. All right. It's nice. That's good. So, what should the people of Zone B, whom you are vying to represent, expect from you if given the mandate?
Nothing short of quality representation in all ramifications. Growing up here, you know, with the much political awareness, which came from, of course, my pedigree and background, you know, as a son of a politician, and then my tutelage with Dr. George Akume, with whom I worked for several years, from my teenage age to adulthood. I've always worked, you know, around informally and informally. I have been able to pick faults and those Achilles heels of our past leaderships. At some occasions, I have been a critic, you know, and coming from this background, the expectations about my representation are quite very, very high. We are thinking that the major issues that must be attended to where we come from, Zone B, is that of these sporadic attacks that come from herdsmen. And you know that Benue is an agrarian society.
Yes.
We are agrarian to the extent that we produce what we consume. It is difficult for you to export. Export is difficult because there are issues of preservation. And then that comes to mind the issue of power supply. Because for you to have even those cottage industries that will process foods, you will be requiring power, and Nigeria has a deficit in power supply. But until and unless we have this atmosphere of peace,
Yes.
then our farmers will not be able to even go for those foods that they produce, even for consumption.
Yes, not to even
Now,
talk about exportation.
Exactly. We're crying foul about not just consumption, but export and sale, which we hadn't gotten to that point. Today, we are even, you know, where the disturbance is more about the fact that we cannot even go to our farms. And my approach towards this challenge is nothing but synergy. Synergy and negotiations. In fact, it was this great leader, the man they called Yitzhak Rabin. Yitzhak Rabin was the prime minister of Israel. And one day he woke up and said that in all his life as a soldier, he started as a soldier, that he fought several wars. But none of those wars had, gotten them to the point they wanted to get, or resolved the crisis that, they thought that war would resolve.
Yes.
So they rather still came back after fighting, maiming, killing, destroying properties. They still came back to the drawing table, or to the round table, or the square table, or rectangular table as you have here, to hold discussions, jojo, rather than war, to get to those points that would, meet with their yearnings and aspirations.
And then the crisis were resolved.
And the crisis were resolved, not because of war, but because they discussed. So it was in that direction that they said, okay, they are disturbed about the Gaza Strip, and they will see how they would judge over the Gaza Strip issue. It was in that direction that you must have heard, it's in the history books, that one of the students, a law student to be specific, pulled out a gun and shot him in the head and assassinated him. Yeah. I say this, the story may have ended this tragically, notwithstanding. To achieve peace, the extension of that olive branch, which is a symbol of peace, must be done. So you cannot come to peace. Now, we do not have the capacity, our laws are highly against that, to attempt to arm our young men and women to fight. Yeah, the advantages may not be as much as it will be a great disadvantage to our society. And I say this because when you arm a young man, and at the end of the day the young man does not have any source of income to eke a living, then the result can be disastrous to the entire society and even beyond.
Yeah, they'll turn out to use the
guns for armed robbery, for kidnapping as you have today, for
rape
rape as you have today. So it is not profitable to attempt to arm young men and women who are not trained to carry guns or to bear arms and ammunition, to fight or to carry out reprisal attacks. Now, my approach is going to be a little simple. If I say a little, I may not be correct. It's going to be very, very simple, and in difference to this opinion. I'm thinking that as a lawmaker, by the grace of God, those brothers who are going to be in that same red chambers with us, and then by extension to even the green chambers, we shall attempt to go into friendship relationships with them and see how we could discuss on the best way possible, so as to have a win-win situation for everybody. If there are areas where they think or they would have thought that we should come to their aid, those discussions will be put forward, and then we'll see how we can work things out and make sure that without anybody, without letting blood.
So in essence, are you